start $35. And then we hook up our keyboards and our mice using the USB ports. Okay, crazy, yeah. And some of you have a Pi that has something in one of the USB ports. That's a Wi-Fi adapter. So your Pis can go wireless. Get out of town. I know. But you'll also notice, how many of you know what this slot here that looks like your telephone jack at home? Does anybody know what that one is? Yes, I do. It's your Ethernet. It's your internet connection. That's your wired connection. So the ones that we have set up here, we have them set up to be whatever, right? How many of you guys have a high definition TV at home? You can plug your Raspberry Pi into your HDTV. Get out of town, right? So this HDMI is what you hook to your monitor. So they just came out with a Raspberry Pi Zero, which is only $5. What did she say? She said $5. Yes, sir. Yes.
So what are you kind of saying that that is pretty much like this, but really small?
Yes.
Okay.
It's maybe not as powerful as this, but it's pretty doggone close. And you guys are going to see, you guys are going to get on your Pis, and then those of you that aren't at a Pi station are going to get on and search and do some things, and you're going to get to see kind of the performance. But for $35, and you get to experiment, and you get to do fun things with it. And we're going to do a little research here and see what people do with Pi, besides eat it. Work with me. Work with me. Cool. Okay. So, this is all about the possibility of you guys experimenting and being able to have access to a computer that's pretty doggone low cost and still pretty powerful. So, here's what I want us to do. The first thing that we're going to do is, you're already there, is the power to the Pis, power to the Pis, we're still, we're going to turn on the Pis. When you get the login, and I'll come around and help you with the Pis, the login information to get onto your Pi is right here on the bottom of my getting started. So just follow those directions. I'll come around. And Savion, if you could come around and help, they should be turning. Now the mic now should be plugged in, and the power is there. I'll let you figure it out. Oh, I know. You know what we might have to do is just pull the power. Yeah, pull the and then plug it back. Oh, you got it. So just follow. And then follow. You guys don't. You guys are going to kind of gather around her a little bit, and you're going to do some stuff on your computers. So when we're talking about and looking at the Pis, just kind of gather around her. Oh, magic's going to happen in a minute. Does magic happen? Ah, you already got it. Got your Pi? So then, when it comes up, just follow the instructions. Okay? So what you guys may have found out first, right? When it first starts up, there's all this text. That's all the code. It's all the directions that are coming. So none of, yeah. Yeah. So we're So when you have, cool. So those of you who have that graphical desktop version already up and you can see the nice yummy Raspberry, go ahead and click on some of the icons on the left and just kind of see what they are. Check out the Pi Store. There you go, and just follow those directions at the bottom. Cool. Now, when you start typing Raspberry as the login, it's not going to show up. So you do Pi, and then the password's Raspberry. Raspberry isn't, nothing's going to show up on your cursor. It's just going to now type.
There you go.
Start X.
Thank you.
So the Start X starts the graphical interface. So what Savian was talking about, that was really text-based and programming. That was the non-GUI graphical user interface. Click on that, double click on that. That's your web browser. That gets you out onto the internet.
Oh, that's cool.
Have any of you heard of Mathematica? That's already preloaded. So this is all of that software that's on that tiny little mini SD card. It's already loaded there for you.
Look at that. It's trying to add.
This is the graphical Raspberry Pi software app, right? So I want you to go ahead and click on Midori if you haven't gotten there. I want you to get online. And those of you who aren't sitting at the Raspberry Pi, go ahead and log on to yours. And if you have to log back into your computer, those of you on the non-Pi, it's just visitor, capital V, and then the password is capital CC, and then lowercase g-r-a-t, exclamation. And look at that. I also have on my handout another link for some of the top Pi projects. So what I want you guys to do now for a few minutes is for you guys to look at, search the internet, and find out what are people doing with these crazy things called Pis. Some of you may want to go to Amazon and see what kind of kits, because you can even find some really interesting kits on Amazon to make something, okay? So I'm going to give you a few minutes to search and find. I want you guys to find something really cool that you may want to make with a Pi. Okay? And you can search individually, or you guys could search together and find something really cool. And as you guys are using both your Raspberry Pi to search and the normal one, kind of look and see what's the difference. Is one going a little slower? Is it that much slower? We build things like word processing, like Microsoft Word. It's a software, it's an app. It was coded, it was programmed, right? All those apps on your smartphones, those were coded, those were programmed. right? How many of you have ever wanted to go, oh, I have a great idea for a smartphone app? How many of you? Or you have a smartphone app and you're like, that's so awful, it should do this and this and this, and it doesn't. How many of you have that? Right? So when you know how to code, you can get in and make things work for you. Pretty cool? Maybe, sort of, some of you. All right. So now, you guys know a little bit more about the Raspberry Pi. It's just a computer. It has software on it. It's a garage sale or Goodwill or ARC or a thrift store and have Steam monitors, right? So you can pick up a monitor pretty inexpensively. So for less than $100, you could have a computer. Get out of town. And you could start playing with it and exploring and inventing. So now what I want us to do is we're going to switch gears a little bit and we're going to do some Scratch programming. How many of you have ever seen the head of the cat? Those of you not on the Pi, just go to, where am I? Go to scratch.mit.edu. And then this is your main one here. The green Pi is going to maybe help those of you on the Pi, because I'm going to walk you through one of the exercises to animate a few letters in your name and put in a background. So you can see what coding is kind of all about. And the cool thing, the projects that are up on the scratch.mit.edu site, they have the code there for you. So you can look and you can see, oh, that's a really cool program, or oh, I love how they did this with their person. Let's go back into, oh, yeah, I'll take, thank you. So those of you online, go ahead and click try it out. And this is where I was talking about when you're online, all the built-in help and stuff is right there for you. So go ahead, and those of you who are online, go to the far upper right and click on all tips above the getting started. So all I did was click all tips, and then we're going to animate our name. You're awesome. So you guys have a ton of help to walk you through things and answer your questions. So just because there isn't a teacher or somebody there that's an expert, you can still find almost everything you need here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on our new sprite. Okay, and the sprite's like the cat. And then we get, I'm losing my voice. And we get all these predefined sprites. They're those things that we want to make do things on our screen. But you guys can create your own. You guys will draw at least one letter here on our screen by our cat, but we don't want our cat. So one of the easiest ways to manipulate things on Scratch, like the code and the sprites, particularly if we want to delete it, is just right-click on your sprite, and then we can delete it. But notice we can duplicate it as well. Okay, to delete the cat, but now we're going to add color. So go ahead and click Next. Okay. So what you see now is over color, effect, and all you have to do is just click it and drag it. So there you go. Just drag it over here. Yeah. So that's, now what do you think this white area with the 25 in it, what do you think I can do with that? Get in there and change that value. Okay. we want it to change? Well, we're gonna go to, I think it's events, and it's right up here. Yeah, we're gonna go to events, if you scroll down. And then we're going to say, where is it? When this sprite is clicked, so just drag that and link it up on top. And just, make sense? Sure. Of directions, we can go to sounds. So you want to have from the events, when the sprite is clicked, from the looks, change the color. Sweet. So notice his S has shown up here under the sprites. So when he goes back, and it's up here on his background. So if we go to scripts, well, so we can do whatever we want. We've created our new sprite. We can also click on your red S and then drag it. You can also click on your sprite on your background and move it around a little bit to a new starting position. Okay? Well, some of you are way beyond me, but some of you are doing, oh, we gotta start. Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and make it spin. So go ahead and click on scripts. So you guys, I want everybody to kind of follow me on the making it spin thing, because this concept, this code right here, particularly the repeat and stuff, if you guys understand this code, this is basically, you've understood one of the key components of programming. And you guys can go back and go, I learned how to program. Yeah, I know, some of you are so excited, I can tell. So, what we're gonna first do is we're gonna go to the motion. So go to the blue motion, and then do the turn 15 degrees, drag and drop it down just a little bit. There we go. Now we're gonna go to control, and we're gonna do wait 1 second and bring that underneath it. Now, that's 2 lines of code. If that executes, it's just gonna turn 15 degrees and wait a second, and that's it, right? But we want it to spin, right? So see this repeat 10 times? This repeat 10 times? That's what's called a loop. That's what's called a control structure. We're just gonna make this go loopy 10 times. Yeah, like Trey's done here with wackiness. It's just continually repeating those instructions inside the loop, inside my repeat. It's just gonna do it 10 times, okay? Is everybody there? And then let's go ahead and move to events and do the when this sprite is clicked up there. So go ahead and click on your star S. See how it's spinning? And it's gonna spin, if it's spinning 15 degrees each spin and we're doing it 10 times, oh my gosh, here comes some math. It's gonna do, and to stop it, you're fine, just hit the stop. Just hit the stop. Yeah. It's all good. This is safe. This is a safe environment here. We're allowed, right? So we're gonna be spinning 150 degrees. 15 degrees 10 times. 150, right? Okay. So that repeat, that's a loop. Do these things, what's inside my loop, 10 times, right? I've got 15 degrees, 10, and 1 are all in a white space. So what does that mean I can do with those values? You guys remember the white stuff? I can click on those values, right? I can change it, right? So I can make it turn less than 15 degrees, more than 15 degrees. I can have it wait shorter or longer. I can have it repeat less or more. Notice how Savion's X*S is going faster because my wait is 0.2 seconds instead of 1 second. And now we did it 100 times, so I'm getting sick watching. So let's experiment with this. Go ahead and you can always stop your code by hitting the red, basically stop sign. So let's do this. So kind of hold your loop down. Oh, there it is. Did I do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what you can do with your blocks of code. Just like you could build them up, you can uncouple them. You can take them apart. And when you take them apart, then you can kind of disassemble them. So what I want to do is I took out the weight, and I'm going to put this in, make that 5 times. So when we click on this sprite, there's no weight anymore. So look and see what happens with this *S. If you remove the weight, it's like, it goes like that. There's no delay, because remember the computer is processing your lines of code really, 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 really fast. So sometimes if you do something and you're like, it's not doing it, I can't see it, it's because you need to have that like wait 0.2 seconds or wait, so you can slow it down so your eye can see it. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Right? So then,
Where are we going then?
so the other thing that I can do is I can also say once my letter does all this stuff, I can make it go back to its original position. Now I'm like, oh my God. So I can you pull it and bring it back. Go ahead and click on this. Or click on your thing and see if it'll go. This one will do. Put this 0, 0. 0, 0. And then click. Oh yeah, undo the 100 and make it like 2 or 3. There you go. So the goal, you guys, is to play around with this and go, what happens when I do this? What happens when I do that? And there's all these tutorials online for you guys to play around with. You guys could create your own movies, little animated stories with people saying things. Have you guys seen where you can make your sprites say things? Right? You can create games. Some of my students have created like games with different levels. Once you reach something, your background changes and you're at a new level, maybe with some harder challenges. You could create a game where you have to click on things to find certain things. But you're coding. is a very graphical-based coding program. Trey.
I made, okay, what's that game, like the ball comes down and then like the stick comes up with it?
Oh, Pong.
Yeah, I made that, and then you hit the blocks and it disappears and gives you points.
Yeah, so you can create old school games like Pong or your own, like through a maze and create your own mazes. This is code. You guys are coding. And if you think about this, if we just look at this code up here, it's just directions, right? How many of you guys have to give people directions? Directions how to get somewhere, directions how to do something. How many of you have ever had to give someone directions to do something or go somewhere? Come on. This is where I'm like, is everybody? Yeah! You can code. Can you give good directions? You can code. Did you need math to do this? No? How many of you thought in order to be a computer programmer and build software apps or build apps, you had to be this great mathematician and know math inside and out and be geeky? No? Maybe? To do some really complex things and get into some of the nuts and bolts, you do need math. But to write software that's logical and gives directions, you don't need that much math. It's pretty straightforward, yeah. Okay. Any questions about this? So I've just given you a little taste, and on the Raspberry Pis, some of you may have seen that there was like Python games and IDLE. That's Python programming language. That's what the Pi stands for actually, is Python. And that's a more text-based, it's more like Java. So you can get in and start programming some more heavy-duty stuff, or you can play around with Scratch or other things, or use it as a basic computer. How many of you use your computer to like type up your papers or PowerPoint or things like that? Yeah? Sevion, will you do a Google LibreOffice? L-I-B-R-E. So there's an open source free software that you can use on Raspberry Pis, or you could just use at your home, called LibreOffice. And it's free and it's compatible with Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. See if there's just LibreOffice without Google. Yeah. There it is. There it is. So it's LibreOffice. So whether you do Raspberry Pis or not, but this is free software. It's compatible with Microsoft Office so that you don't have to go out and buy it. Microsoft Office. You can use this and it's compatible. Savion.
So LibreOffice, if you use it on the Raspberry Pi, it works, right?
Yes. You have to download it and set it up, but there's instructions on how to do that. Okay? So I've given you just a little taste. Any questions? Anything? Okay, I want to leave you with one thing that might help inspire you. Do Angela. How many of you watch TED Talks? Has anyone watched Angela's The Key to Success TED Talk? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and play that. And for some of you, the ones up front, you get this